Kaya? Kaya? The Honorable Governor Kim Beazley, Governor of Western Australia, distinguished guests, colleagues, and friends. Good morning and thanks for being here. My name is William, and it's a great pleasure to see all of you. So, this is absolutely an amazing experience for me. 2 weeks ago, on the 3rd of October 2019, Louis Gold called me, saying that that's a confirmation for me that I secure one spot as a plenary speaker. So I honestly so surprised of that fact. I was asking Louis, how long will I have, Louis? Is it 3 or 4 minutes? Because honestly, I was expecting maximum 5. And Louis undoubtedly say, you will have the entire 25 minutes for yourself, William. I was like, what? You have to see my face now, Louis. But with that in mind, I was really happy because it means that, well, this is my chance as an international student to share my perspective about how I enjoy my time in Perth and how I represent my country, Indonesia, as an international student. So before I move to the next part of my speech, I would like to recognize and acknowledge that all of us today, we are standing on the land of Wanju people, of the Nyunga people, and I pay a great respect to the elders, past, present, and emerging. Well, since a couple years ago, when I was in high school, I read so many books about public speaking. So the repeating message that I got is the authors asked me, just pretend that the audience are dumb. Today, I have no courage to say that because the governor is here. So instead, I will give that position to me. I will not pretend. I feel that I'm dumb. You know why? Because by feeling that I'm dumb, I have nothing to lose. I can explore. I can try to find the best practices. Even though now I'm a bit nervous, I forget my clicker. And I think by being dumb also, I can honestly share my perspective of what's going on here in Perth in my experience as an international student. Many of my friends and families, also colleagues on Facebook, Instagram, and on LinkedIn, they're telling me, William, you are doing great. Well, thanks for that. But I think somehow, most of them, they miss the bigger picture. The fact that I'm standing here today before all of you, I think is just the tip of an iceberg. Well, today I'm an author of several books, but I'm telling you my story. In 2007, I was in my high school. I was in my 12th grade, and I was thinking that the education system in Indonesia wasn't right. The violence, the harassment, especially the verbal harassment towards students from teachers, it was normal at that time. But it was not okay for me. So I asked the teachers to speak person to person. I expressed my opinion that, I'm sorry, sir, I have to say that you are not doing something right. He wasn't happy. At the end of the day, that teacher humiliated me in front of other students in my school. And on that day, I made a promise to myself. I will teach him a great lesson, but in an elegant way. I will not try to fight him, but instead, I decided to become a book author. It wasn't an easy journey. I spent the next 2 months, every day and night, borrowing my sister's laptop. I didn't have one for me that time. I write all of my points, my proposed solution to the problem in Indonesian education system. And I try to find the good book publishers. To be honest, I was rejected 7 times by 7 different book publishers, not only in Jakarta, but in other cities of Indonesia. But 3 days ago, in the governor's house, I met Momoko, one of international delegates. She's from Japan. And I remember what a a famous Japanese saying say about failures. So you fall down 7 times, you get up 8. I was rejected 7 times, but on my 8th attempt, my first book was published. So the good thing happened subsequently. I wrote my second book about education, and I write my third book about motivation, especially I address it to the younger generation, to the students in Indonesia. And it is written based on my story, my perspective, my lessons learned as an international student in Perth, Western Australia. I also, together with another 35 students and scholars of Indonesia here in Perth, Western Australia, we write a book, 36 chapters about lessons learned and how we celebrate and how we are being grateful of our experience as academia, as students in Western Australia. And today, I also co-author 1 fiction book. I write 2 book chapters, 2 short stories, together with 4 poets from Indonesia and 5 distinguished poets from Malaysia. And that book is launched this week in Frankfurt Book Fair. I'm so happy for that, but if I reflect on my story, on my past, I believe that that is just the tip of an iceberg. I've gone through the failures. And the fact that Callum introduced me as an LPDP awardee, so that's a scholarship from the government of Indonesia. It didn't happen instantly to me. I've been through 4 rejections before I finally get the scholarship. And you know what? One of the scholarship institutions who rejected me, I'm sorry to say, that's the government of Australia, sir. So I registered for the Australia Award Scholarship. And in July 2016, I got an email. Sorry, William, you've done good so far. But, unfortunately, this time you are not successful. I have no hard feeling with Australia. The fact that I'm here today is because I love this country. And me and other students from Indonesia, we believe in a good quality of education in Australia. That's why we are here. And as important as it is to acknowledge that we are now standing on the land of the original custodian in Western Australia, I think it's also imperative for me to share to you about this story, because I want to acknowledge the past, the history, and the experience that my parents have gone through, which have actually shaped who I am today. So this small store is a 4-meter square store. It's located in a traditional market in Tebing Tinggi, North Sumatra, Indonesia. From this small store, my dad, along with another 5 siblings, with his parents and his grandmother, so in total there are 9 people, depend on this small store. They were selling vegetables. My dad was so friendly, was so outgoing. He didn't have a lot of money, but at that time, so many people in Tebing Tinggi know him as a friendly, outgoing, and trustworthy person. And let me ask you one question. Do you think how much in today's exchange rate that my family, that my dad made from this small store daily? Anyone? How much Australian dollar? Callum, can you help me? 25. So it's 25 Australian dollar in today's exchange rate, and you have to feed 9 mouths. That's why my father, as the oldest son of the family, he sacrificed. He didn't go to high school. He didn't go to university. Because the family matters. The survival of the family is more important than education at that time. But there's one good thing about my father. This is the most important lesson that he taught me so far, since I was a young boy. Today should be better than yesterday, and tomorrow must be better than today. So by the way, he finished his 6th grade when he was 15 years old, much older than me that time. And he never came back to formal school afterwards. But you know, the key that brought him from Tebing Tinggi to Jakarta and start his own business, he was quite successful, I think, in our scale, is because he is honest. It's because he's loyal. It's because he has integrity. And he keep improving himself by reading 2 newspapers daily. And that's the thing that he asked me to do. William, since I was in primary school, read newspaper every day. Yeah, and this is where my journey starts. I'm quite sure that $4.6 that time, now it's around 4.8, right? Yeah, so this is the first money that I spent when I actually come to Perth for the first time in November 2016. So that time, with the advice of my father, read 2 newspapers per day. I know so many things about current issues, about politics, economy, security, and you name it. I read a lot of things from Indonesian newspapers. So I end up getting one very good job when I was 25 years old. So when most of my friends, they experience the quarter life crisis, I get a very good job. I hang out with the ministers, I hang out with the Director General, I met Roberto Azevedo, the Director General of WTO, I met Jose Emmanuel Barroso from European Union, I think the Nobel laureate, and also I met a lot of directors and industry leaders from my roles at Indonesia Services Dialogue that time. So we worked to advocate the good public policy for Indonesian and for Australian services sectors in Indonesia. We got a lot of cooperation with Australian government that time. And through that roles, I was sent by my organization to attend the Australia-Indonesia Business Exhibition in 2016. So I was totally on my own that time. And this is me during the event. It's me during the first day, 12th of November. And the good thing about the 12th of November, you know what? On the 11th of November, that's the day when I conduct the interview with the government of Indonesia scholarship providers. So one day after that, no, I mean, not one day, because I took the connecting flight. 11th of November morning and afternoon, I had an interview. 11th November evening, I went from Jakarta to Kuala Lumpur and Kuala Lumpur to Perth. I arrived in the morning, so it's only one day after the interview. And then I also go to Elizabeth Quay on my own to enjoy the view of the city. At that time, I was still single and about to get married in the next couple months. So I take photo in front of the bell tower. I really want to go up because me with my partner Imelda, we went to Eiffel Tower, we went to Seoul Tower, we went to Tokyo Tower together. But that time, for the sake of loyalty, I don't want to go. I don't want to go up. Because I also made another promise to myself. It's still very fresh, right? I got the interview yesterday. If I'm successful now, during my 5th attempt of trying to find a good scholarship for me, I will definitely study at, I don't want to name the institution, but you know I study at UWA, because I don't want to oversell everything. But this is about Perth and education. I will go to Perth with my future wife, who is Imelda, and we will go up together. That's my promise. In December 2016, I got the good news. Finally, I got a scholarship. So I got the letter of acceptance for UWA, and then in June 2017, me and Imelda, we got married, and then in January 2018, that was the first time that we came together as a couple to Perth. Well, this is the story of my 3rd book. Before I got any appointment as the UWA student ambassador or even with Study Perth International Student Ambassador, I have a belief that each and every of international student in Perth, Western Australia, or anywhere in the world, all international students are ambassadors, at least for the family, for the education institution where they study, and for their country. That's why I write my book, and I use my book as a medium to express my gratitude and appreciation to those people who have been taking a great part of my life. This role model, his name is Baharudin Yusuf Habibie. So he is the third president of Indonesia. He just passed away last month. And those all figures, including governor, I really appreciate your time, your reception at your house. And so many ministers, leaders, and also this one is Ibu Dewi, Indonesian Consulate General in Perth. And my point by showing all these pictures is that I don't feel that I am the best among Indonesian students in Perth. I'm not the best even in my class, or I'm not the best students at UWA. There's no intention of saying who is best and who is worst. But the new perspective that I got after making friends with so many great people and industry leaders, political figures, and so many great people, is that we don't have to feel or think that we are the best. We just need to be better. We just need to provide the best version of ourselves. And after all, we just need to remember what my father said, is that today should be better than yesterday, and tomorrow must be better than today. And this is my way of showing appreciation. I do it all with my father's models, with my father's characteristic. Try to be honest, try to be loyal, try to have integrity, and I never have vested interest. So you can confirm to all of these people, except to President Habibie because he has passed away, that I never ask any single thing from them. I only ask them if they have time, and if we meet an event, we can share a lot of knowledge, share a lot of things, share what's news, and provide me with the most updated knowledge that I can use to improve myself as a person. So I'm not asking for jobs, I'm not asking for money, I'm not asking for connections, because that's kind of corruption, collusion, and nepotism, and I don't want to be the part of it. And this is finally the story of me and Imelda. The key message of this slide is, love conquers all. That love can make you do great things. So I told you before that in January 2018, Imelda and I, Imelda, can you stand up please, because the crowd maybe want to see you? Yeah. Yeah, that's Imelda. Okay. Thanks, Imelda. So in January 2018, we came here as a couple and me as an international student. You know, what I had in mind that time, my study hasn't even started that time. But one day, I stand in front of the unit that we live in our apartment, and I was projecting my future in the next 2 years. So I was thinking, I'm from Indonesia, I'm studying communication, I'm going to write a lot of case study, but I told myself, I don't want to be like other Indonesian students. I want to write case study based on what I find in Australia. I will take Australian organizations and company as my case studies. I want to learn a lot of things about the local economics and politics. And now, I'm in the final 2 weeks of my journey as a master's student. I'm writing a thesis about media representation of indigenous people, because I really want to know, want to experience, and want to improve my knowledge that I'm being here in Australia, and I don't want to be just an Indonesian in Australia. I want to be an Indonesian who have the Australian and global perspective. This photo was taken on the 31st of December 2018. I made a promise to myself, and I will not feel good if I didn't fulfill my promise. So I almost forget, to be honest, the promise that I made in November 2016, almost, I think, 2 years ago, 2 years back, right? I was in the city with Imelda and with our parents, and I told Imelda, so what is our plan for the New Year's Eve? Oh, we are going to North Bridge to see the fireworks. But I think there's something that I miss. I'm not feeling well. What is that? Oh, it's because I haven't fulfilled my promise to you, Imelda. that I want to go up this tower together. For your information, it was 3:30 p.m. and this tower closed at 4. Okay? So from the city center at Hay Street, I asked Imelda and our parents to run to Elizabeth Key. We arrived here at 3:45 p.m. I ran so fast. It was the fastest run in my life. I go to the reception. Hi, ma'am. 4 tickets. I want to go up. No, William. Oh, no. She didn't know my name. No, mate. It's not possible because you need at least 30 minutes to enjoy the view here. I told her, it doesn't matter. She said, no, you can come back another day. No, there's no tomorrow. I insist and keep insisting. And finally, she allowed me to go up, and this photo was taken at 3:55 p.m., 5 minutes before the tower closed. But the point is, I walk my talk. Thank you.